Thank you all for joining us this evening for another workshop regarding the Northeast Area Specific Plan here in San Carlos. So great to see you all. I'm going to go ahead and turn it right over to Megan to get us started.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. Just to double check, Dave, you can hear me well? Great. Thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone, on this beautiful, warm summer evening. Welcome to our second community workshop for the Northeast Area Specific Plan. My name is Megan Woolley Osdahl, and I'm a principal planner in the Community Development Department and the city's project manager for this plan. And I would like to extend a special welcome to Mayor Adam Rack and Council Member Pranita Venkatesh, who are joining us this evening, as well as Commissioner Ellen Garvey and Commissioner Janet Castaneda from the Planning and Transportation Commission. Welcome, everyone. Next slide, please. For our agenda this evening, we will reintroduce the project, provide a little project refresher, and then we will jump into the presentation of the draft options, including recommendations around flooding and resilience, transportation and parking, and land use and placemaking. Then we will break into groups to discuss these ideas and recommendations further. And now I would like to pass the mic to Mayor Rack for a welcome.
All right, thank you, Megan. I appreciate it. I just wanted to welcome everyone to our second community workshop for the Northeast Area Specific Plan. We certainly appreciate you joining us this evening and know that your input is critical to this process moving forward. So tonight, as Megan mentioned, our city staff and the consultant team will present draft land use options for the Northeast area. Over the last several months, city and consultant teams have been hard at work developing these draft options or scenarios. And these options are based on input earlier from the community, from stakeholders and policymakers, and an evaluation of what the area is like today, and an understanding of what changes may happen in the next few years and how to best plan for these changes. Now, the draft options include ideas around land use, placemaking, transportation, parking, and a lot more. So tonight we want to hear your thoughts about these options. You can share your input directly during tonight's workshop, and the city staff will also have a survey that you can take to share any additional comments. You can also look for our city staff at 2 pop-up events, one tomorrow at the city library, and a second at Auto Vino on Friday, September 8th, and that is located on Industrial Avenue. I'm sure we can get the address for people, I guess, assuming if they need it. And as a next step, we're working towards determining a preferred scenario or the option that we sort of coalesce around we like the best, which could be a combination of the draft options you see tonight. So don't take them all as just as one. So thank you again for being here and for your participation. We certainly appreciate you taking the time to join us this evening, and we really look forward to your continued involvement throughout the life of this planning process. So thank you again, and I will turn it back over to Megan.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Rack. So before we dive in, I'd like to reintroduce our team. I'm joined this evening by Al Savay, Community and Economic Development Director, and Lisa Porras, Planning Manager. We're also joined by our colleagues Lisa Costa-Sanders, Adam Aronson, Akanksha Chopra, Christian Padilla, and Sujudi Hawk, who you will meet later during our breakout sessions. Next slide. The city has been working with a team of just really fantastic consultants to support the creation of this plan. The team is led by Perkins & Will, and Perkins & Will is joined by a number of sub-consultants, as shown here, who have a range of expertise. You'll meet many of these team members again during the breakout sessions. And I'd like to give a special thank you to our colleagues, Dave, Rachel, and Quentin at Plan to Place, who helped organize this evening's workshop. Next slide. So now for a bit of a project refresher. This plan is on the Northeast area, 145 acres. This includes the area north of Holly Street to the San Carlos city limit at Belmont Creek. And the area is bound by Old County Road to the west and Highway 101 to the east. The plan boundary does not include the greater East San Carlos neighborhood, which is to the south. However, we will be thoughtfully planning for the transition between the Northeast area and the neighborhood. So this is very top of mind for us as we do our work. We're also working very closely with our neighbors to the north, the city of Belmont. I think many of you are familiar that currently the city of Belmont is also creating a specific plan for the area that's just right adjacent to our northeast area. Next slide. So the city is creating this specific plan because over the past several years, we have seen more and more interest in redeveloping properties throughout this area. As a part of the City of San Carlos 2022 strategic plan, the City Council directed staff to create a specific plan to manage and direct change for the Northeast area. The City Council also directed staff to explore the possibility of introducing housing in this area. Next slide. This plan really provides us with the opportunity to consider and tackle some of the biggest questions that are really present for this area, such as how to support the thriving businesses that are there today and celebrate the area's industrial legacy, how to create easy and safe ways for people to walk, bike, take transit, drive to the area, how to address flooding and other environmental issues in the district, and more as shown on this slide. We'll have more time as a group. We're going to have our breakout sessions later where we can really delve into these topics together. But just wanted to say this is a really good opportunity to address changes that are anticipated for the area. Next slide. So with this planning process, we're definitely not starting from scratch. We're building upon many other planning initiatives and good thinking that the city has recently completed, as shown here. Next slide. So I think many of you on this call are familiar, but just as a reminder, the city kicked off this project last fall, and we anticipate that it will take about 2 years to complete, wrapping up in October of 2024. So right now we're about midway through the process, as you can see from our icon there. At this point, we have developed the draft options, which we'll be presenting to you tonight. And then as a next step, so you can see kind of in the green circle, as a next step, we'll be using your input to determine a quote preferred scenario or a preferred option, which is the option that the council and the community like the best. And keeping in mind that this preferred option could be a combination of the different options that you'll be seeing tonight. Once this preferred option is determined, then we'll begin the environmental analysis. And you will be, as a community, you'll be invited and welcome to continue to provide your input throughout the process. So we'll be coming back to you a couple more times before the end of the process. We really want to encourage you to sign up for the project email list if you haven't done so already, and you can do so on our plans website, which you see here at the bottom of the slide, sancarlosnortheastplan.com. So next slide, please, Dave. We also have two, as the mayor mentioned, we have 2 in-person pop-up events. We're very excited about these. We'll be at the library tomorrow from 2 to 4 p.m. I'm sure y'all know where the library is, but just in case, it's at 610 Elm Street. And then we'll also be at Autovino at 380 Industrial Road on September 8th from 4 to 6. Autovino is located within the project area, so we're really excited to have a pop-up within the project area. We'll also have an online survey that's going live tonight right after this workshop. So if you have additional thoughts, you can complete that survey. We also invite you to share with your neighbors, share the link to the survey, let them know about these in-person events if they weren't able to join us this evening. And again, thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in the breakout, and I'll pass the mic over to Rachel for a poll.
Great.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I think we're actually going to pass it over to Quentin, but thank you, Megan.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here tonight. To get a sense of who's in the room with us, if you could please go to menti.com and enter this code right here. You can alternatively use your phone and scan the QR code. And the code is 36453428.
Great. Thank you, Quinn. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing screen here and bring up the poll. So thanks for your patience. right, back over to you, Quinn.
Awesome. Okay, so once you are all kind of on this screen with us, we can start going through. And this really is just to get a sense of, yeah, what communities we're reaching, and gather some basic demographic information. First off, we're going to start with an icebreaker. Awesome. Yeah, and if you want to tell us what the name of the neighborhood that you live in is, however you call the place that you live. Okay, and we're going to move into our demographic questions. First, which best describes your connection to the Northeast area? Cool, and we can see these starting to populate. Property owners within the Northeast area, residents of San Carlos, customers. Awesome. More property owners. Okay, and which kind of ethnic identity do you most identify with of these is the next question. And what is your age? Okay. Lastly, how did you hear about today's workshop? Okay, awesome. Mostly email, some word of mouth. Yeah, keep talking to your friends, keep talking to your neighbors. That's great.
Great. Thanks all for taking the time to do that. You all have access to this as we go through the workshop, and there'll be surveys coming out. So if you didn't get a chance to weigh in, you will here soon. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing again real quick. Thank you again for joining us on that fun. And I'm going to bring up the presentation and keep this going. Okay, over to you, Mark.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, everyone. I'm Mark Asness. I am the project manager with the consultant team with Perkins and Will. And the intent of today's workshop is to really hear your thoughts about our proposed design framework, which we've organized into 3 different categories: flooding and resilience, transportation and parking, and land use and placemaking. And if you go to the next slide, starting with flooding and resilience, for us as a team to really lead with resilience, it's critical for us to first start by studying the past. And so the 2 topographic maps that you see really presented some very interesting findings as we began to propose different types of design solutions. So the map on the left, it shows that even as late as the late 1800s, that the Northeast area that you see in that red kind of boundary there was actually the historic bay shoreline actually bisected the site itself. This was as late as 1892. And then the map on the right shows that even as late as the middle 20th century, there was a large portion of the site that was still very much marshland. And so that's the area that today is home to the Palo Alto Medical Foundation, PG&E, and other businesses, established businesses along Industrial Road. So if you go to the next slide, I think it makes a lot of sense that when you look at those historic maps and then cross-reference with the with today's FEMA flood maps, that this is an area that is very vulnerable and prone to flooding, and that the area that you see in the hatch, which is our historic marshland area, is going to be the area that is going to be the most impacted and the most vulnerable to flooding. And as we all know from experiencing the extreme weather events that happened in January and February of this year, this is a district that is currently not equipped to be able to accommodate those type of flooding events. And we're really going to need to look forward on how to effectively manage stormwater and sea level rise in the future. So if you go to the next slide, another thing that we studied was the Belmont Creek, as well as the existing open stormwater channels that are currently located within the district. And those stormwater channels, they do serve as a way of managing and conveying stormwater today, albeit they are currently undersized. And we also saw as part of our existing conditions report that these are areas that do have ecological kind of value. They have fragmented habitat. So if you go to the next, as we begin to think about infrastructure solutions, we really took those existing stormwater channels as a natural starting point for where we want to increase investment. And so what we're proposing is extending and enhancing those existing stormwater channels across the district and really making them not just a ditch for stormwater, but really a celebration of critical infrastructure for a more resilient district and a more resilient region. So next, to complement those extension of green channels, we're also proposing the integration of enhanced green stormwater infrastructure on major arterials like Industrial Road and Old County Road to really make sure that we're better supporting the management of stormwater across the entire district. Next, we start to think about what could a green street look like. So it could look like something that you see in the photo here, which is in a very much an enhanced green stormwater infrastructure on the street, like a bioswale. And of course, we think about this as more of a multifunctional type of design. It's not just about collecting stormwater, but it's also about cleaning the air, mitigating urban heat island, helping to provide greater public spaces, and also just thinking about an opportunity to create safer streets. So if you go to the next, when we start thinking about what a green channel could look like, and these would be areas within the rear setback of private properties away from public right-of-way, they could be strategically placed high flow stormwater basins to really be able to support areas that are going to have more vulnerability to flooding, but they could also include things like separated bike and pedestrian paths to ensure active transportation users are able to safely move through the district and not be in conflict with vehicles and freight users. And then next is, what could the Belmont Creek restoration look like? So we've had recent conversations with regional entities like One Shoreline, who have made it very clear that new development should not be allowed to be built right up against Belmont Creek. And we're very much in agreement. So what we're proposing is this opportunity for a 50-foot setback to, one, expand the Belmont Creek stormwater channel to help support greater stormwater runoff collection. Also thinking about a regraded naturalized creek bank to provide opportunity for new ecological habitat, as well as a publicly accessible shared walking path that would be along the creek itself that everyone in the district and beyond would be able to take advantage of. So now moving into transportation and parking, I'm going to pass it on to Phil.
Thanks, Mark. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. So hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be back with the San Carlos community. My name is Phil Olmsted with Nelson Nygaard Consulting Associates. I'm going to quickly set the stage for what I hope is a robust set of group discussions. This first slide highlights what we heard from the community in our first workshop. It's also a great reminder of the district's overall location in the city and region. This district's current dynamic nature and uniqueness is due in part because it is near so many great transportation assets. But when you're on the ground in the district, destinations can feel far away and often disconnected. So part of that is due to the major barriers of the freeway, the train tracks, the creek, and limited gateways in and out. So a big part of our work in this plan is stitching and linking the district to downtown, to the Caltrain stations, and other key community destinations. But we also want to zoom in and really focus on the district's specific interior challenges, making sure we design and manage the streets so that cars, trucks, bikes, and people can move safely and comfortably. Go to the next. We got lots of great feedback and some key themes have emerged. We want to improve the street network to make it safe, convenient, and delightful to get around. The vision is for streets that can accommodate not just the local business and its employees and customers, but also the person in a wheelchair or the kid who wants to ride their bike down the street. Most of the 400 or so on-street parking spaces in the district are unregulated, meaning that those prime front door spaces are often taken up by cars for days or weeks at a time. Many parking lots often sit empty at night and on weekends. We need to manage parking right with a new proactive and district-based approach. And we need to provide lots of mobility choices. That doesn't mean everyone has to get out of their car, but we want to provide convenient options if we want district users to add walking, biking, and transit to their travel habits. Go to the next. So what are some of the ideas to help us achieve these goals? I'll highlight, this is definitely our initial thinking. It's all draft. We really want to dive into these ideas with you in the group discussions. We want to explore an enhanced street grid anchored in some new public streets. These new streets shown in dashed yellow include an extension of Brigado to the east and a new north-south connector between Taylor and Quarry, helping break up the large blocks and parcels in the district and improve connectivity. As Mark said, the new street segments can improve stormwater management. They can also create new opportunities for placemaking and social interaction. Does this all happen at once? Of course not. Part of this plan is to develop a phased approach with the property owners and businesses to do this in a realistic and feasible way. If you go to the next. We want to introduce the idea of what we're calling productive alleyways, seen here in dashed purple. These types of streets are typically on private property, but open for public access. They offer additional formal connections in the street network, but they also help to reduce loading and parking burden on some of our key streets with some back of house operations. If you go to the next. Another key part of the network is introducing, and Mark mentioned this, some ideas around what we're calling paseos or pathways for those walking and biking shown in dash green. These can offer both form and function. They offer more options for safe access for those without a car, especially capitalizing on our reimagined Belmont Creek and enhancing that key F Street connection to El Camino Real and the transit services there. But these paseos can also provide another location for those green elements in stormwater management. Next. Parking came up a lot repeatedly in our conversations with you all and a lot of the stakeholders. In short, parking works great for some, but it's a problem for many. The future district can't build its way out of a parking problem. We don't have the land. Our streets can't allow for a significant number of new cars. And at $40,000 to $60,000 per space to build, we don't have the money. So we need a new approach. We want to try and proactively manage on-street parking, making sure those limited spaces are available for quick loading and short trips, while also providing convenient and central off-street options for longer-term stays by employees and future district residents, potentially. If you go to the next. If we want less traffic, we must give people lots of options and make it easy for them to find and use them. So really essential are options to connect to Caltrain and bus services on El Camino, both of which are due for major service upgrades in the coming years. And that doesn't mean everyone's going to take the train or bus, but if we can make that, what's about 0.8 of a mile, if we can make that last connection easier, more will. And we need to get great facilities to walk and bike and wayfinding to direct people. And finally, we want to manage mobility and parking effectively, ensuring that the city, property owners, employers are all collaborating via a coordinated entity. And I'll close on the last slide here by just saying it's really, transportation and parking are really crucial to long-term success. There's not one solution, and we're really interested in exploring a lot of these ideas with you all. So I'll pass it back to Mark and look forward to talking to you all.
Thanks, Phil. So I'm going to wrap it up with land use and placemaking. So when we all last spoke in March, we received a wide range of feedback and guidance regarding land use, such as preserve the diversity of existing businesses, enhance amenities and open space for employees and residents, support housing, especially affordable housing, as well as develop context-specific urban design standards. Just a few of a very robust set of comments. But if you go to the next slide, these were the type of comments that really helped us develop two very distinct land use options. And this is what we really want your feedback on tonight, as well as in addition to the resilience and the transportation. But I think it's really important to note that we and the city has not chosen a preferred land use option yet. This is the forum and venue to really have that dialogue. So if you go to the next slide, the difference between zoning and development, I think it's also important to note that we still expect that this area is going to change pretty significantly in the next few years through new private development. And while the city does not own any property within the district, it does have control over the zoning and the type of development standards that are going to be put into place to ensure that new growth and investment can be intentional and it can deliver tangible public benefits. So tonight, we're talking about the opportunity to shape future zoning, which will ultimately have an impact on private development when it comes online. So for the next slide, just really quick overview of our current zoning within the district. District is primarily light industrial, which has a allowable maximum height of 75 feet. That's approximately 5 stories. And then very select sites, parcels along Industrial Road are designated as industrial professional, which has an allowable maximum height of 100 feet. That's approximately 6 to 7 stories. And then other specific parcels are designated as planned development. So next slide. These are just some of the land use designations that we're going to be talking about today as part of our land use options. We have high intensity commercial and medium intensity commercial, and this includes allowing a much more wide range of different types of employment uses, whether that's the opportunity for life science, biotech, R&D, creative office, general office, expanding what is allowed in those type of employment zones. We still want to talk about the preservation and enhancement of light industrial within the district. And then finally, strategically integrating the opportunity for high intensity residential. And what you'll see on both the high intensity commercial graphic and the residential graphic is this area that's been shaded light blue. And this is beginning to initiate this idea of, could we put forward a bonus type of system that in return for additional height and development square footage, the project that be being put forward would have to deliver on tangible public benefits, like providing open space or building out the street network or a variety of different types of public benefits that we could put forward. So next, here we have our land use options. So option 1 is all employment. So this would not have any type of residential mixed use development incorporated into it, and we'll go into more detail about it in a minute. And then option 2 is split into 2 different scenarios. Option 2A, which we're referring to as employment plus housing, consists of primarily employment zoning with a very select area being allowed for residential mixed use. And then option 2B, employment plus more housing, very creative name, would extend the residential zoning to be closer to Industrial Road. And again, as Megan mentioned, this is not an either or proposition. We are going to look and discuss all of these options, and we can take components that are preferable in one option and bring it to another. Really, this is our opportunity to help calibrate what that preferred option wants to be. So if you go to the next slide, starting with option 1, all employment, there were certain key attributes as we were developing the scenario that were really important to hold on to. 1, to be strategic about new types of commercial development coming into the district. 2, an effort to preserve the local businesses that are in the district today. And 3rd, to leverage new development to deliver community benefit and help solve critical issues facing the district to support a more resilient and more prosperous future. So as we take those attributes and we started to apply them into the urban design scenario here, what we put forward was 2 different district gateway moments. 1 at the intersection of Industrial Road and Quarry Road, which would have required ground floor active uses. The other would be across the street from the Palo Alto Medical Foundation, where we would be able to serve major institutions like the Palo Alto Medical Foundation, as well as providing greater services and local businesses for the surrounding neighborhoods, as well as businesses in the East Side Innovation District. And then the third big urban design move as part of this option is designating Quarry Road as an industrial main street, which would come with a requirement for ground floor, what we refer to as PDR space, production, distribution, and repair. So ground floor light industrial maker spaces to really help accentuate the quality that this is an employment industrial district. So if you go to the next slide, when we look at those kind of big urban design moves and start to overlay our thinking around high level land use, we are proffering that the high intensity commercial would be located around that district gateway at Industrial Road and Quarry Road, stepping down to medium intensity commercial as we get further toward Old County Road. And so really the northern portion of the site in this scenario is all about opening up the types of allowable employment uses. And as you move south of Bragato Road, you'll see that the area that is really in the southwestern portion of the site would remain light industrial. We'd remain industrial land uses at Palo Alto Medical Foundation and PG&E. And then there's a little triangle right across the street from Palo Alto Medical Foundation, our second district gateway, which would be designated as medium intensity commercial. And so then you go to the next slide. This is what those land use bubbles could look like, as almost like a mock zoning map, where we start to look block by block, how we would be integrating that type of land use designation. So on to the next option. Option 2A and 2B, employment and housing key attributes. So again, three major kind of important considerations as we started to develop these scenarios. We know that housing supply and affordability in San Carlos is a critical issue, and that the city has a responsibility to identify more areas where housing could be built over the next 10 to 20 years to both support current and future residents. We identified that the southern portion of the district is an appropriate candidate for future housing development, as it's within walking distance to public transit, El Camino Real, and to downtown. And then with new land uses like residential comes the need for investment in critical social infrastructure and community amenities to support a growing city. So if you go to the next slide, the big urban design moves as a part of this scenario was now our community main street was located in that new north-south street that Phil had mentioned as part of the transportation and parking section. So really thinking about this community main street in the interior of the district with ground floor active uses like local shops, local businesses fronting along that community main street. And then what you see in that purple kind of parcel area with a heart in the middle, that denotes the opportunity to invest in a new community amenity. That could be a new community center, an aquatic center. That's another thing we would love to get your thoughts on today is what could that community amenity be like if we were to include something like residential use in the district to really support a more cohesive and more socially resilient district. And so from a land use, kind of high level land use standpoint, we really see the majority of the site being this medium intensity commercial, still maintaining the institutional use around Palo Alto Medical Foundation and PG&E. But now we're beginning to denote that in the southwestern corner of the site, that the land would be allowed for residential mixed use development. And then if you go to the next slide, again, this is what it could look like as a mock-up type of zoning map, where you'll see that light blue is denoting the employment uses, the yellow is denoting the residential mixed use, and the pink is the institutional. And then if you go to the next, moving into option 2B, it's almost exactly the same as option 2A. However, if you look at the residential mixed use bubble, you'll see that we've now extended it into that triangle that's bounded around Industrial Road and the greater East San Carlos neighborhood. So what's really notable for this scenario is that the area of the Northeast specific plan that is adjacent to the greater East San Carlos neighborhood, it would all now be bounded by residential mixed use land use. And then finally, showing that land use translated into what could be a mock zoning map. So again, yellow residential, light blue is commercial employment, and pink is institutional. And the red denotes that this would be around an active ground floor use with a community amenity at the heart of the district. And if you go to the next slide, this is just really quickly, Dave, we can move through these. This is just a composite of all of the scenarios that we spoke about, but now we're overlaying the proposal for the transportation and parking, as well as the flooding and resilience. So really looking at these as really cohesive types of, and very distinct type of options. So here's option 2A, and then finally option 2B, employment plus more housing. Okay, pass it back to you, Dave.
Great. Okay, thank you so much for that presentation. And thank you all for your patience as we gave you some background. And now we're going to move into the most important part of this meeting, and that's to hear from you all. So this is the fun that we've devised for you here tonight. What is going to happen next is we're going to split you into 3 rooms, and I'll go over this again in a second. And what we're hoping to do is to have each one of the groups actually speak to each one of these topics that you just heard of, or you just found out about. So what's going to happen is you're going to have lead facilitators that are going to be in each one of these rooms, taking you through the topic and then opening it up for discussion. And then at this point, about every 15 minutes, they are going to transfer on to the next room. You're going to stay right where you are, and you're going to get an opportunity to talk about the next topic, and so on until you get a chance to talk about all 3. So as I just explained, at this point, I think we're going to probably transition every 15 minutes just to make sure that we have time to have a discussion. But at the same time, we'd love to have you come back before we adjourn at 8:30 to do a very brief report out so that we can get a sense of what all the other groups spoke to, and have a chance to do a quick wrap up and then talk a little bit about next steps before we let you all go. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing screen here for 1 second, let you all see each other. Oh, one thing I did forget to mention, I'm going to share again real quick. Sure, you all are Zoom experts at this point, but just to let you know how we're going to be taking comments from you all. You'll most likely be muted when you're in the room so you don't accidentally speak over each other. We're going to ask you to use the hand raise feature, which I'm sure you're very aware of, but it is a button at the bottom of your screen that you can press, or you could leave comments in chat, and you'll see all those comments magically appearing on a virtual whiteboard as you go through the conversation. Okay, welcome back all. Hope you had a fantastic discussion. I'm just going to wait just 10 seconds here to make sure everyone is able to get back into this main room. So glad that you all stuck around with us. Sorry for running a few minutes over. There was so much great conversation going on. We didn't want to cut it short. But it looks like everyone is back with us now in this main room. So I'm going to ask just for maybe a 1-minute recap from each one of the lead facilitators in each group. You all could decide who that is, to give us a sense of what your group talked about, just really high level. And then we're going to show one final slide, talk about what's to come, and send you all on your way. So thanks again for your patience. I'm just going to go straight down the list here, starting with land use. If Mark and Megan or Megan are ready to give us a quick recap.
Sure. Thanks, Dave. Well, I'll start it off. I think that there was general, an appreciation for the multiple land use options and this opportunity to really dive in and assess the pros and cons of each. There was certainly a lot of discussion around the need to address housing, and that there sounded like there was an affirmation that the area in which we did highlight residential mixed use was the appropriate area. Certainly a discussion around flexibility for ground floor active uses, what that could look like. Certainly don't want to have dead or vacant type of retail spaces. So really thinking about flexibility there, and also thinking about sensitivity around transitions to the surrounding neighborhood. Megan, anything to add?
Yeah, I would say we also heard support from group members to have a pedestrian connection between the Northeast area and the neighborhood. And also support for, although I'm bleeding into the transportation group, but support for separated facilities for peds and bikes. So and then some questions too around existing businesses and kind of the grandfathering in process, which we are going to address further. So yes, had a great discussion. Thank you, everybody. So pass the mic back to you, Dave.
Great, thank you so much, Mark and Megan. That was a perfect cue up for Phil and or Alex to tell us what they heard in the mobility and parking group.
Yeah, I'll give it a whirl. There was so much good stuff. I'm sure I'm gonna forget it all, but we had some amazing note taking. But Alex and team jump in. Lots of good feedback on the street network. I think general positive reception about rethinking the network or expanding the network. There's definitely some concerns about, the productive alleyways and the operation of those and how those might function. Also, folks definitely were interested in the connections to the residential community to the south, but also concerned about bringing new vehicles into their neighborhood. Let's see what else. Also, love the ideas around new streets, but again, our groups are really savvy. How does this actually happen so it's not piecemeal? How are we getting streets, but not in a block by block manner, right? How do we do it at one time where we're really creating that place? Some good discussion around parking. I think folks realize that there are some challenges. Desire, I think, for more enforcement of the rules, even just the 72-hour, restrictions. But thinking about, can we get more proactive with some 2-hour, 3-hour permit parking regulations. Lots of great feedback about connecting to Caltrain and looking at Old County in particular, and carrying forward some of the work that's already been done there. But concerns about Holly and the gateway intersections on Holly and how do we make those safe for folks. Yeah, those are the themes that really popped into my head, but
Perfect.
lots of great feedback.
That sounds like another great discussion. We're going to go ahead and wrap it with Geeti and or Patrick on flooding and resilience. Over to you.
Absolutely. Yes. Similarly, extremely great conversation. I want to thank the whole community that attended this. A lot of appreciation and the support for every strategy that we put forward and really truly leading with resilience. So thank everybody's support. Clearly, implementation to figure out how will this all come into place. So clearly the roadmap is going to give the city the tools and the ammunition to implement it, but implementation was a question. But in general, just widening the channel and creating that 50-foot setback for Belmont Creek to allow for its restoration and access, and also probably add picnic tables so that you can really enjoy the space as a park was something that people were bringing up. A comment that Sam always brings up, and I'm going to repeat it here: recycled water, making sure that that district and that infrastructure is also made possible through this specific plan, I think is really important and something for us to keep in mind. Thinking about resilience, not just flooding, but air quality was something people brought up, and having trees and thinking about resilience from a cleaner air perspective is important, and absolutely something the specific plan should be looking at. And then looking to kind of really see how there's regional connectivity, and we don't stop our thinking with just within our boundary, but have the collaboration needed with other districts and other agencies. So yeah, at a high level.
Fantastic. That was great. And just a reminder for you all of that great information and summary is going to be captured in a meeting summary that will be posted to the project website, and we'll let you know when that's available. So it sounds like there's a lot of great information to sift through,
David,
including the video.
Before you guys want to say one last thing when you're done.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. We'll turn it back over to you, Mayor Rack. I just wanted to highlight that we also do have a feedback form and or survey that's available, so you can tell all your friends to join in on the conversation if they weren't able to make it today, and or you can definitely go there and add additional input as well. And I'm going to ask the team to drop that into the chat. You'll also get an email from the communications team with this information. It's on the project website. You'll see it on the screen there. It's bit or bit.ly/San Carlos survey. Very interactive, very similar to the discussion we had here today. Again, all of this information will be housed on the project website at sancarlosnortheastplan.com. So please go there to keep up with everything that's coming your way. And if you did have any questions, last plug is you could email them to advanceplanning@cityofsancarlos.org. I'll stop talking. Over to you, Mayor Rack, and then we'll go ahead and close the meeting.
Thank you, Dave, and appreciate everyone sticking around for some extra time. I just want to say I was really happy. It was really great to participate in this forum and to hear from so many residents and business owners. It was great to hear the positive feedback, the concerns, the ideas. It really, I think, will help us and all our consultants, everyone, and the city staff work together to really continue to hone in on this plan, improve on it, and really make it the best it can be as we continue to move forward. So I'm excited about where this is moving and the next steps, and I look forward to working with all of you. And you can always email me too with your thoughts and ideas separately. I'm always happy to take those as well. But thanks everyone for being here, and I really appreciate all the time and effort and you taking time out of your busy schedules to be here. It means a lot. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. And with that, we're going to go ahead and close the meeting. Have a great night, all. Thanks again for joining us. Bye.